Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Yinky, and in today's tutorial I'll be teaching you how to sew a cupped transparent corset. So here the inspiration is gotten from one of Vicky James transparent corset pieces. So here I'll be showing you how to sew the cupped corset in this tutorial. Sometimes ago I uploaded the pattern drafting tutorial of this same video. So today we shall be sewing in this tutorial. So here is the back, and I just show you the front. You can see the front. And this pattern drafting, in the pattern drafting there was no dart inputted. I didn't even put any dart. So the pattern was drafted without dart. So if this is what you're looking for, let's get started. So what I do is that I place the pattern on the mesh. So this is the mesh. I talked about the type of material I used in the pattern drafting tutorial. So I'm going to put the link in the description box so that you'll be able to watch that also if you have not done so. So I added half of an inch sewing allowance around the cup area so that I'll be able to use that half of an inch to fix the cup. And other areas I have not added half of an inch, I also do the adding. But on the side seam, I've added half of an inch, which is my sewing allowance. It is just that half of an inch that I added as my sewing allowance. So I'm going to just cut out like so. So cutting this out, I'm going to cut the two pieces for the front. This is the front pattern. I'm going to cut two pieces of this, and this is the back pattern. I've cut two pieces of that also, and these are the cup panels. So what I use for the cup panel is a crepe material, and I'm going to cut two pieces each of the cup panel. So we have cup panel 1, 2, 3. So if you have watched the pattern drafting tutorial, I hope this will not be a problem. You will understand what I'm trying to do here. So after I have cut this, I'll cut 1, 2, and 3, which are the cup panels. So after cutting that, I'll cut for the lining also. I told you are cutting two pieces. So these are all the things that you need to cut. So I cut different strands that I'm going to use in the sewing process. So as I am joining everything together, I'll be explaining the inches that you need. So here I have pinned, this is the center, this is the front panel. I have pinned it together. I told you I'm going to match two pieces together for it to be strong, and so that it won't be easily punctured. And while you are fixing all your bones will be able to hold your bones firmly. So I need to match two pieces together. So I'm trying to sew two pieces together for each of the front and the back. So I have done that here, and this is what I have. You can see the picture. So here I'm going to create the bone channels. So these bone channels, there's no standard for the bone channels. Just create whatever you have in your brain, or whatever picture you just want, how you want it to look. So here after the center front, I mark 2.5 inch here, and I mark 1.5 inch on the down part. Then I connect it. So whatever I do to one side, I will just make sure I repeat the same process for the other side. So that is the logic. Whatever you have done to one side, after you have input your center front line, so what you must have is that your center front line must be straight. So other things that you do, make sure you repeat the same process. So I measure 2 inches up here and 1 inch down, and I also connect it here. So whatever I do to one side, I'll go and repeat it for the other side, and I'll show you what I have there. So after choking all the bone channels at the front and at the back, I will now be placing it. But here now, this is the back. What I want to do here is I want to do my lacing bar. So this is the lacing bar where the grommet pins will be attached. So on fold I have 2.5. I just measure 2.5 on fold. You're going to put stay. So that stay is called the interfacing, that fusible interfacing. So we have 5 inches when you open it up. So here I'm going to remove 1.5 inch. So what I have here, you need to watch the pattern drafting to understand. So I will remove 1.5 inch here because the width of my panel, my lacing bar, the width of my lacing bar is just 2 inches. So when I remove 1.5 and I place that 2.5 that I told you is on fold, that you can see that the 2 inches has been replaced. So that is what I have here. I will remove this 1.5 and this that I have 5 inches on it, unfold it is 2.5. So half of an inch will go for the sewing, half of an inch will go on the sewing, and we are going to have our 2 inches that the 2 inches will now be replaced. The 2 inches lacing bar will now be replaced back. So I'm going to place it like so and stitch by half of an inch. I'll stitch by half of an inch. So this, what I'm attaching here, is what the grommet pins will be placed on. The grommet pins and the bones, the plastic bones will be placed on it. So here I'll just fold half of an inch here like so. I'll fold half of an inch up here like so, and this is perfectly made. I'll sew it perfectly like this. So after I have made this, I'll make sure I'm very careful about this, that everything is covered up, nothing is showing. So here you can see that the back is what I am making here. I'm trying to make the lacing bar. So the lacing bar, after I've completed the lacing bar, whatever I have done to one side, I will repeat the same process for the other side also. You know, we will have 2 lacing bars that will be facing each other at the back. So after I have done that, I told you the width of my lacing bar is 2 inches. It depends on how you want it. So the width of my bone is half of an inch, and that is what I'm getting here. Half of an inch is the width of my bone. So in the 2 inches, I will have 2 bones, which will give me one inch, and the remaining 1 inch will now serve as the. So for the bone channel, I measured 2 inches here, and the 2 inches will be folded here. So when I folded 2 inches, I will have 1 inch. Then I will sew like, I'll place it like so. This is for the bone, for the bones that will be used to, that will be placed on this mesh. So here I'll just take half of an inch. So half of an inch will serve as my boning casing. Half of an inch, because the width of my bone is actually half of an inch. So I'll just mark it like so. So when I've not folded this bar, it is 1 inch, but it is 2 inches. After folding it into 2, it gives me 1 inch. Then that 1 inch, I will sew half of an inch as my sewing allowance, and I'll fold up like so. I hope you get the sewing process. So even if you do not understand what I'm saying, at least you are seeing it, and I'm putting my tape measure as I'm doing it. So after you have created your bone channel like so, this is how you are going to create all your bone channels, even at the front. This is how we are going to create it. I'm still going to do the one at the front so that you will understand, but this is for the back, and I have done the two back lacing bars. I have done the 2. Then for the front, I want to create the bone channels for the front. You know, we have 2 inches, then we fold it into 2, we have 1. Then after you have folded the 1, you are going to sew half of an inch will be your sewing allowance. Then you flip over the remaining half of an inch to cover up as your bone casing. So we are creating our bone casing that will be on our corset like so. So I'll mark half of an inch with my chalk. I'll just mark half of an inch, following all the chalk lines. I'll just mark half of an inch, which means I'm creating my bone channels exactly the width of my bones. I'm using the exact width of my bones to create my bone channels. So I'll fold it up, cover it up like so. You can see the way I'm covering it up, and stitch. So you can reduce the width, the sewing allowance, if it is too bulky, or it can cover it up, but you must not reduce it too much, because your bones will be showing on the other side if you reduce it too much. Just make it the width, the half of an inch width that is there. So I'm going to stitch up like so, cover it up like so. So by the time you are covering it up and stitching it like this, you are creating your channels. So I'll go ahead, create my channels, and make sure it is the exact width of my bone, because if it's not the exact width of your bone will be twisting. After you have done your work finish, your bone will be twisting, and it will not make your work neat. It won't make the transparent corset to be firm. It won't make it neat at all. So make sure the width is the same as the width of your bones. So I'm using a plastic bone in this tutorial. You can also use a rigilene bone, I mean the transparent bone, if you wish. But I believe a plastic bone, from experience, a plastic bone tends to be more firm, strong, and neat. so I prefer to use a plastic bone. So, and with time, a plastic bone can still withstand the test of time than using a rigilene bone. A rigilene bone tends to change shape and form with time. Even in 1 month, it will change shape and form, and you won't like the outcome. So here I'm still trying to create my bone channels, all the bone channels that will be on the center front piece. So that's what I'm trying to create here. So as I'm creating it, I'm watching whatever I'm doing, that everything is concealed. So after I've created my channels, that is what I will do on all the chalk lines. So I may not be able to show you how I did all the bones, but at least I have shown you like three channels that I've done. And I'll just go ahead and create it like so. So I'm trying to fast forward so that we won't waste much time on this. So if you can't see the lines of your chalk, you can just go back and trace it out again, because remember, you are chalking on the mesh, and this mesh is a very fine mesh, that it is not more of a cotton, it is more of a synthetic material. It has a close knit that makes it very, very strong, and the strength is not the type of strength that will wear easily, or that will tear up easily. So when you are sourcing for your mesh, make sure you source for mesh that will be able to withstand the test of time, and that you'll be able to bone perfectly. So here I'm creating more of my bone channels. I'll create more of my bone channels, follow the direction, and after I have done that, then we'll move to the next stage. Here is the cup. So this is the cup, and I'll be showing you how to make the cup here at this point. So you have your cup channels, cup panels, like cup 1, 2, 3. Then the way I place the panels, I'll be arranging it together. So the first one you're going to join together is the 2 and 3. So I will join with 1/2 of an inch. That's the sewing allowance that I added while cutting the fabric. And after the 2 and 3, I will join 1 to it like so. So I'll just join 1 to it. You can see the other side of the cup that I arranged down. So you must use the first one you are doing to arrange the second. So there is a way you need to place it so that there won't be any problem. So here I'm joining 1 to the 2 and 3. Then I'll go ahead. The ironing is very, very essential. You open up your sewing allowance like so, then you iron. So steam ironing will be better. Use your ball to iron. So use your ball to iron. Make sure the ironing is very, very perfect and neat. So after I have done that, I will open up the sewing allowance on this side also, and iron neatly. So on the right side, you also iron. You can see that is very, very neat. After ironing, the shape will form and it will come out well. So this is my cup. I'm going to place my hemming gum on my cup. So I'll place my hemming gum on my bra cup, and use iron to place it like so. Use iron to place it like so. And after you have used your steam iron to place it like so, this is what you have. You can see it's very neat and fine. So we can now go ahead now and use lining to turn the cup itself. So the first thing you will do is that you will have turned your cup. You will turn the chest, like the chest area of your cup, you will have turned it before you fix it on the bodies, on the transparent bodies. So here is what I have after for building my cup. This is what I have. I have tutorials that explain how to build your cup like this. I created this cup. It's a customized cup. That black cup that you see, it's not ready-made cup. It's a customized cup. I created it. And here, this is my lining. You can see on my lining, there is a caging. I cage the cup. So I have tutorials that can also explain this. And you can register for our online course, where I'll be able to have time to teach you more about all these sewing techniques and the process. So here I'll turn the lining. I'll use the lining to turn the main cup like so. I'll use the lining to turn the main. You can see that I'm turning the chest line area. So after turning it, I will top stitch by half of an inch. I will top stitch by half of an inch, and this is what we have. After top stitching by half of an inch, it will be neat, and it will be very firm on that. The neckline, the neck side will be neat. So here, this is what I have, and I will match it round. After I have turned, I will match it round. So I have my cup. My cup is ready. My bra cup is ready. So here is the corset cup. So here I'm going to fix the corset cup in the front panel. So here I can go ahead. Here I'm trying to fix the bone channel that will be on the center part. So there is a bone channel that will be here. So I'm going to fix the bone channel like so. That's what I'm fixing. The same process that I used to fix other bone channels. That's the same process I'm going to use to fix this bone channel also. Then I'm using a lighter to reduce the sharp edges. So I'll use it to burn the sharp edges so that it will be blunt. So after I've made it blunt, that's the same way I'm going to do for all my bones. So after doing this, what I put here, I put a rigilene bone in that part because I'm still going to sew around that place. That's why I put a rigilene bone. So that's the only place I put a rigilene bone. Other part I put a plastic bone. So I'll go ahead and I'll fix one cup. You can see how it is. Then I'll be showing you how I'm going to fix the other cup in this part. So I'll go ahead and fix the other cup since I have fixed one cup already. So I'll place this other cup like so. This is where it will fit in. This is where it will fit in. I'll go ahead and place the cup. I'll start from this edge. So actually the part that is easy to fix is the one that I fixed and I didn't show you. So this part, this side is very difficult to fix, but I'll show you this how you're going to do that. You can start by stitching on the cup and end it by stitching on the bodies. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. I'm stitching right directly on the cup right now, but when I get to a part that it's no more easy for me and convenient, I will turn and stitch on the bodies. So here I'll just go ahead. When I get to this part and I'm done with the curvy area, I'll go ahead and stitch directly on the bodies like so. And that is what I'm trying to let you know, because this part is a little bit tricky and you need to just apply wisdom when you are doing this side of the cup. So I'll go ahead and do that neatly, and after I am done, I'm going to show you the result. So I'm done with that, and this is what I have. This is what I have. This is what I have. And the next thing to do is how are you going to conceal your sewing allowance? And I have concealed the sewing allowance of the first one that I just fixed. I'll be showing you how you are going to do that sewing allowance. You're still going to cut a tiny piece, and that is what you are going to use to turn the sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead now and get my single piece half of an inch width and use it to turn the sewing allowance neatly. I'll be folding it up like so and be using it to turn the sewing allowance. So I'll fold half of an inch up to maintain the neat edges, and go ahead and first of all stitch with half of an inch. So this is how you're going to place your cup. Inside out. Inside out is what you will do to stitch. So I'll go ahead, work on the sewing allowance, not on the mesh. So I'll work on the sewing allowance, and after I have done that with half of an inch, I must be careful. Here I have not placed bones on it because it won't be easy for me to sew if I have inserted my bones. So the only place there is a bone is at the center from that single tiny piece of a rigilene bone. So here, after I have done this, I'll flip it to the other side to cover up the sewing allowance. So I'll flip it to the inside of the cup like so, to cover up the sewing allowance neatly. So after I've done that, here the way I cover it up, you can insert underwire here. If you want to insert your underwire, you can insert your underwire here. But because I have done bust caging, it's not really necessary to insert an underwire. It will still be firm and it will be neat. You don't need an underwire with bra caging. It does a lot of wonder. If you have done your bust caging, you don't need an underwire anymore. So I will just turn it, use it to conceal the sewing allowance, turn it over like so, and I have a neat finishing. I'm trying to create a neat finishing impression here. So after I have done that, I have a neat finishing already. I'm talking about the bra cup. So I'll just go ahead and finish up the bra cup like so. Finish up the back up like so. So while I was starting, I folded half of an inch, and while I was ending, I folded half of an inch, so that there will be a neat edge. All the edges will be neat. So those folding of half of an inch will work perfectly for all those edges. It will make the edges to be neat. And this is what I have. You can see what I have. And this is the right side. You can see the right side. So by the time we put our bones, it will stay strong and firm. And so here, because I have 2 inches width for my lacing bar, I'll first of all take half of an inch for the first boning casing, half of an inch for the bone casing here. I'll take half of an inch all through, then another half of an inch on this other side, so that I will have 1 inch in the middle. So I'll trace out those chalk lines like so. I'll trace it out on a straight line. So those half of an inch space will be for my bones. It will be for my bones. So we know the width of the bones already. So make sure it is the exact width of the bone to avoid the bones from twisting to the other side. So the 1 inch at the center will be for the grommet pins. So here I will run a straight stitch on those lines to be able to secure those channels. So as I'm running this straight stitch, I'm securing my boning channels. So I'll just create my bone channels like so. You can see the bone channels. I'll do the second one, and I'll have 1 inch at the middle, which will be for my grommet pins. So I can place my grommet pins like so, depending on the distance you want to make it to have. Like 1 inch is okay, 1 inch space from one pin to another. So I can just place it 1 inch distance like so. 1 inch distance is okay for me. So I'll just place it like so, because depending on the width of your grommet pins. And here I will join the side together. So when you are joining the side, this is how you're going to place it from inside, from the outside. You're placing it inside out. Inside out. That is what we are doing. You can see the inside. I'm placing the inside out. So the inside now, since the sewing allowance is showing outside, showing on the right side, I'm going to cover it up with my bone casing like so, and that is what I'm doing. So this is the side seam that I'm trying to cover up with my bone casing. The way I have done for the other part, I'll cover up the side seam, because the sewing allowance now is at the outside. Are you getting what I'm trying to do? And that is what I am covering up here. So that we are going to have a neat finished look. So I'm going to cover it up. When I join my sewing allowance, it is not the normal way we join sewing allowance for our dresses. You join this sewing allowance in such a way that the sewing allowance will be showing on the right side of the fabric. Then you cover it up with your bone casing. So this is how I blunt the edges of my bones. I'm going to use my lighter to burn it and make sure the edges are blunt, so that it will not injure anyone that wants to wear it. And here I have passed all my plastic bones making sure that it is the size, and I will reduce the size by 1 inch. It must not be the exact size because I'm still going to turn the hemline. So here is the hemline that I want to turn. I'm going to fold half of an inch. The width I'm using to turn this hemline is still the 2 inches, the way I do for the bone channels. I'll fold 2 inches width into 2 inches into 2. I will have 1 inch, and I'll be sewing on the half, and the remaining half will be used to cover it up, just the way I do for the way I created my bone channels. So that's the way I'm going to cover this part up also. Then I'll just go ahead. That is why you must make sure that you leave sewing allowance while you are placing your bones. Leave at least 1 inch sewing allowance, because it is a plastic bone. You won't be able to sew through if it gets to the extreme edge. So if it is a rigilene bone, I mean your sewable bone, you can do that because you can still sew on your sewable bone. But in this case, you cannot sew on the bones, so you need to leave sewing allowance. So I will turn to the right side. It is from the wrong side I'm stitching to the right side. So here I'm trying to finish up the hemline. So it is this same process I'm going to use for the upper part also. I'll finish up the side, the part that is very close to the cup on the upper part of the back. I'm going to finish it up with this same method. That is how I'm going to finish it up to make sure it is very, very neat. And after I'm done with this, I'll go ahead and get my soldering iron to be able to make all these grommet pin holes after I am done with the hemming of this downside. So I'll go ahead, this is what I have, and go punch up with all those chalk lines. Punch up. When you are doing this, make sure your soldering iron is very hot, and be careful you don't spoil all your work at this point. So you must do it carefully. And we have almost come to the end of this tutorial. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, and also share this video. And if you have any question, leave it in the comment section. I'm going to attend to your question. As soon as I see it, I will reply to your questions. So here I'm putting the grommet pins, and after this process, the transparent cup corset is ready. And this is what we have. You can see the outcome is very, very beautiful. If you are interested in our online course also, I will leave my phone number on the screen. You can contact me directly, and I'm going to give you direction as to how we are going to do that. So I will see you in my next video. Please take good care of yourself. Bye for now.